Chapter 23. It didn't get magically easier from there. My Chinese didn't blossom overnight, though I did notice that I was understanding more and more. Yipo picked up an English phrase here and there. She liked saying high five and used it for everything, including when I took the garbage out. But things were definitely different, and that was a good thing. Instead of a foggy glass shield between us, we now had a clear view of each other. I even figured out the mystery of where she was going every day. One day I came home to 16 old people sitting at card tables spread out over the living room and dining room. They were playing mahjong. Yipo waved at me as I came in and then introduced me with her arm around me. "This is my niece!" Everyone smiled and went back to their games except for one man who immediately got up from his seat. "Hi, Lucy," he said. His voice was light and careful, like footsteps on eggshells. "I'm Mr. Chen. Your aunt has told me so much about you. I understand you are quite a basketball player." "Thank you," I said, surprised. Yipo had been talking about my basketball? "I hope you don't mind us here," he went on. "The community center where we usually play had to close for some plumbing work. Your aunt said you wouldn't mind if we came here." I looked over at Yipo. She was looking at Mr. Chen. Did she have a crush on him? Did he have a crush on her? I turned back to Mr. Chen, summoning up my best impression of a good Chinese hostess. No, not at all," I said. "We're delighted you're here." I looked around the room. What would Mom do? What would Popo have done? Then I got an idea. I went back to the kitchen, found some little bowls, and put some Chinese treats in them, the ones that have about 6 layers of wrapping on them. I took the bowls out and put one on each table. Most of the players were too fascinated on their games to pay much attention to the snack, but some of the ladies patted my arm and said, "Thank you, you are so good." I tried to act casual, like I hosted groups of mahjong playing old people all the time. But on my way out of the room, I caught a glimpse of Yipo. She seemed intent on arranging her tiles, but she was sitting up a little bit straighter and had an unusually pleased look on her face. Maybe I wasn't ever going to be as perfect as Regina when it came to Chinese social events, but I figured I wasn't doing half bad. The next day we had a scrimmage against a team called the Avalanche. If Yipo's mahjong party was all about politeness and hospitality, the scrimmage was about pain and hostility. The main problem was that other team's point guard, a girl named Petra. Petra was one of those players that make me wonder if she's an older player sneaking on to a U13 team. She looked about 16 and made of brick. She probably outweighed me by 50 pounds. When Petra came barreling down the court, it was hard to defend against her. I tried stealing the ball, but she just blew by me. Coach Mike had a different idea. He wanted me to set my defense so that Petra would run into me and get a charge called on her. What Coach Mike didn't seem to understand was that I felt like I was about to be hit by an 18-wheeler. When I ducked out of Petra's way at the last second, Coach Mike pulled me out of the game. "Look, Lucy, sometimes you're going to get knocked down. That's just going to happen. You've got to take it, okay?" I nodded, even though I wasn't excited about the idea, and I was relieved when Petra hurt her ankle and sat down the rest of the game. After the game, though, Madison had other ideas. She invited herself to my house, and we sat upstairs talking about it. "I could have gotten really hurt," I said defensively. "That's all." "Physical pain is no match for the pain of losing," said Madison. "The Avalanche had beaten us by 13 points. Get up." There was barely enough room for the two of us to turn around. Madison grabbed my desk and pulled it over to the wall. "Move my bookcase by your bed, and we'll have some room to practice," she said. I'd gotten used to the wall. I'd kind of forgotten that I could move it. Still, Madison had a point to make, and it was too dark outside to play. I slid the bookcase over the wall. Madison tried to push a pile of magazines under my bed with her foot, only to find a collection of shoes. Do you think things are getting out of hand in here?" she asked. I grabbed the magazines and dropped them by the stairs, so I remembered to put them in the recycling bin later. Then I put all my dirty clothes in the hamper, stacked up books on my desk, and put my shoes away. Now we had room to play. Madison had me stand at one end of the bedroom. "The trash can is the hoop, and you're defending. I'm coming, and you're going to draw the charge." Madison clutched a ball of crunched-up paper and came toward the basket. When I realized she was trying to come in from the right, I moved into position. Wham! Madison tried to take a shot, but it flew wide to the left. "Ow!" I yelled. I rubbed my backside. I had crashed into plenty of people before, but letting someone run into me on purpose seemed to hurt more. "What's going on up here?" asked Mom. She was standing in the doorway with Yipo. "It looks like a tornado has come through here." "Oh, we're just practicing drawing a charge. You know, getting the foul called on the other person," said Madison cheerfully. "Lucy just did great." "Yay, me," I groaned. Yipo motioned for us to run the play again. I got up. Maybe Yipo would see how tough it was to draw a foul. This time, Madison tried to use my desk chair to set a screen. I beat her to the spot in front of the basket and set my defense. "Jameson goes in for the 2, yelled Madison. Bam! Madison slammed into me full force. The closet door shuddered as I crashed into it and hit the floor. The paper ball went in. I looked to Yipo for sympathy. "Tranquille," she told me. She looked amused. "What did she say?" asked Madison. "She just told me to get up," I said, surprised by Yipo's lack of sympathy. I got up on my feet slowly. I felt like there should be a Lucy-shaped dent on the floor. Yipo pantomimed falling and slapping the floor. She wanted us to run the play again, and for me to slap the floor when I fell. Madison grinned and nodded before I had the chance to say anything. Bam! Down I went. This time, though, I slapped the floor. The fall didn't feel so bad. I jumped back up. "Again," said Yipo. We ran the play 4 more times, and each time I got better at taking the blow by slapping the floor. Yipo didn't have to say "Zankila" anymore. I was getting up. After Madison left, I grabbed the corner of the desk to put it back. Yipo was in the bathroom, getting ready for bed, and I didn't want to hold her up. But as I looked around the room, I realized that even with all of my stuff jammed against the wall, the room had begun to feel better. The space was like a deep breath, calming and energizing at the same time. It probably hadn't hurt that I'd put a few things away, either. When Yipo came to the bed, she looked around the room approvingly. I had pushed my desk into one corner, and then put the bookshelf between the bed and the desk. The space between us was wide open now, except for a few dust bunnies on the floor. In the early morning hours the next day, I could have sworn I heard a whoop whoop of someone darting down the middle of the room in slippers, a whisk of paper ricocheting into the trash can, and a very small, satisfied laugh.